end and we wrap up this webinar, again, we just want to give you one last chance. If anyone would like to um, reflect on what we've talked about today, if you have questions, if you want to bring up any challenges that maybe are arising in your work as you go and as you try to approach inquiry in social studies, we certainly want to honor your questions, your reflections, your aha moments, your oh no moments, whatever's coming to your mind. So again, just if you have any questions and you want to be unmuted, or if you want to type them into the Padlet, please feel free to do so. We're not seeing anybody with any pressing. Oh, we do have a question. Yes.
Hi there, this is Jason Parker. I teach social studies methods at Gardner-Webb University. A colleague of mine, Kay Rucker, is also a part of today's webinar. We're working through the concept-based unit planning process with our students this semester, and almost to the point where we are ready to turn them loose to fully develop their units. However, a personal clarification point I would like to make. Regarding the structure of knowledge that's so heavily embedded with concept-based unit planning process, is there a good ratio for us to again teach pre-service teachers about including factual questions? Because with the shift going to concept-based instruction, the facts still play a part. They're certainly not as prominent as what they used to be back when I was in the classroom, but this webinar today was very helpful, and thank you. But what is the best way to, again, tell someone who hasn't necessarily seen the concept-based planning process in action in the classroom to still involve those factual questions? Is there a ratio between factual and provocative questions that you would advise us to again teach to pre-service teachers?
Well, actually, I'll address that, and that's a very good question. As far as a ratio goes, there isn't necessarily a ratio that we can suggest, but what I would say, and I think the team will support this, and Erickson will support it, is your factual questions should support your conceptual questions. And that's really the way to think about it, because you need facts to get to those concepts anyway. So all factual questions should be related in some way back to the generalization, and really relate those factual questions back to your conceptual questions as well. So to use those factual questions to build a foundation to get to those conceptual questions for each generalization. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yes, so you would still advise, Steve, for again, future teachers, I guess, to just focus on making those conceptual and provocative level questions, and then I guess I'm just still concerned, how should we inform future teachers about how to integrate the facts, other than just self-discovery through their understanding of the generalization?
If I could add also to Steve's comments, I don't think, and I think it's great that you're bringing this up, because a lot of teachers don't understand the balance between the facts and the concepts, and the factual information is still critical. And there's no way we can teach conceptually without all the content and without all the facts. So where we begin is with the generalization, the big idea, the understanding. And then the teacher uses that understanding, that conceptual understanding, to then say, what facts would be ideal to help students understand this? So we choose our content and we choose our facts after we realize what's the point, what's the big understanding we want students to walk away with. And that's where the fact and content becomes blind from.
So you wouldn't necessarily recommend for teachers and pre-service teachers to develop questioning that is at the factual level, or should we just...
Certainly, in our classes we have three types of questions. Conceptual, provocative, and factual. And factual is critical to make sure that they understand the content. And that is a weak that those dimensions understand.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, it wouldn't be something like 3 factual questions for every conceptual question or anything like that. It's just really ultimately it depends on what the topic is that they're covering the generalization, and also the grade level of their students and the knowledge that they're coming in with and what they need to get to that conceptual level. I mean, just to stress that we can't ignore factual questions. And when I suggest striking a balance, I honestly I think that's what a way to look at it is there really should be a quality balance. If your factual questions there shouldn't be any extraneous factual questions. I think that's the way to look at it. Your factual questions should be not Jeopardy type questions. They should be directly related back to content that will help kids get to the generalization and connect to those conceptual questions. Does that help at all? Make sense at all?
It does.
And keep in mind too, and this is some things that sometimes confusing to folks. Just when we're talking about these questions, these are only the ones that might be in your unit plan. It doesn't mean you can't ask questions during your general instruction or anything that comes up like that. So you're not necessarily just limited to those questions that are in the unit plan. The unit plan questions are really those ones you are specifically writing to get to your generalization. Hopefully that helps.
And that makes sense too. So, and that's a good point that I probably have not done as good a job as I should have with delivering this instruction on Garden Web. But that's a good point to bring up to class about factual should be within the individual lessons itself. You're linking back to those broader things.
And Jason, I'll email you a couple of links tonight that tie back to this a little bit.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Great question.
It is a great question, Jason, and I'm glad you brought up that question because it's important to note that all of the questions that we talked about today are really provocative and conceptual. I mean, some of them are factual provocative questions, but they really are more conceptual. But even if you look at a question like, could the Great Depression ever happen again, which is provocative, in the students' need to knows, they're going to have to almost ask themselves the factual questions in order to be able to answer the provocative question. So students sometimes, will formulate their own factual questions in the inquiry process, which is what we want students to be doing. And so we commend you and everyone that's on this webinar for, trying to learn more about the inquiry process and all the different types of questions that should be asked. And there's no right or wrong answer. Sometimes it's a trial and error sometimes with students and teachers, and so I think that I'm glad that you raised that point. Are there any other questions that anyone has before we wrap this up? We definitely want to take this opportunity to remind you that we will continue to post all of our listserv updates on our wiki site. That address is posted above. It's hyperlinked, and we encourage you to return to our website regularly so that you can keep up with the latest and greatest news in North Carolina social studies. If you have anything that you would like to add to our listserv to go out, you can certainly email Ann Carlock, Carlock, CARLOCK at dpi.nc.gov. And if you would like to submit an item, you should include the prospect association and the content, and be sure to include a brief description of the opportunity with either a link or contact information that you would like to go out on our listserv. If you're not a subscriber to our listserv, you can also sign up on our wiki site to subscribe to our listserv. Another important reminder that we want to remind you about is the North Carolina Council for the Social Studies Conference coming up February 21st and 22nd. I've provided the hyperlink there for you for registration, and we will all be there, our entire team, conducting different sessions around curriculum and assessment, disciplinary literacy, project-based learning, and inquiry, and we would love to see you there. So please, if you have not already registered for that, register, and we certainly hope to see you there soon. Lastly, we would like to sorry, somehow I just got muted, but we would like to thank you very much for your interactive participation today. And we will not only, like we said, archive this webinar, but we will also be sure to archive all the questions that you came up with um, and throughout the webinar to ensure that you have those as a resource. PowerPoint will be posted on the webinar link in a little while, and again, we look forward to seeing you at the Social Studies Conference in a few weeks. And our next webinar is scheduled for April 1st, 2014, and that'll be also looking at inquiry and disciplinary literacy, so please tune in for that.
And it will be no joke. Okay, April 1st. Everybody, as I just got that.
All right, thank you, and we're now signing off.